Ask my instructor, 8.6.14. Find the indicated midpoint rule approximation to the following integral using n equals 8 subintervals. Recall the midpoint rule. So we're going to use the midpoint rule, and I'd like to point out that the midpoint rule just uses the average of the two endpoints of each subinterval. So here I just came up with a formula for x sub k minus 1 plus x sub k all over 2. You don't have to use the formula, but for this problem I will, just because we have 8 subintervals to do. And so this is what I'm going to use. And so instead of f of x k minus 1 plus x sub k all over 2, instead of that, I'm going to put in this formula that I have found. And so here's my midpoint rule. Let's first figure out what change of x will be. How wide will each rectangle be? I'm going from 1 to 3, and I'm using 8 subintervals. So 3 minus 1 divided by 8, and I get 4. So instead of the change of x, I'm going to put in 1/4. What about a? Well, a is the far left end point, and that's given to me by the lower boundary. So instead of change of x, I put in 1/4, and instead of the a, I put in 1. Now I'd like you to notice that we have 8 subintervals. That tells us that n equals 8. So I put 8 in every time I see n. The other thing that I did, let me back up, I had it this way. And what I did is I took that 1 plus k minus 1/2 all times a fourth. I just did a little bit of algebra on it and came up with a new expression, 2k plus 7 over 8. Lastly, what's our function? Our function is e to the x. So instead of our function, instead of f of 2k plus 7 over 8, I have e to the power of 2k plus 7 over 8. And so I need to add all these things up. So for k equals 1, for k equals 2, k equals 3, and so on. For my next step, I just used an Excel spreadsheet, and I used the formula e caret big parentheses, another parentheses, 2k plus 7 parentheses divided by 8 parentheses. And then I just added up everything that I got and then divided by 4. And so my answer is about 17.322. You can also use a calculator, but I find the Excel works very nicely. Take care. Have a great day.